Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is hello.
And folks, continuing our whole monthly tournament coverage, well, we're on Shchedrin today, and Rang, as we see a BF-109 soar through the air majestically, who do we have?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have Luna, otherwise known as Adamy if you want to play. I'll take you up in that. Playing 20th Panzer Grenadier with a Maverick income. Right-hand side in red, we have Koenig, playing as 6th Airborne, with a balanced income.
Can I just say, I love the fact that we have the Flak Panzer Panther here.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we want to make you dummy thick on the bottom. And then we'll put a little rinky-dink quad up top. I mean, it's beautiful. But super early Tetrarch push up to the northern side. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tetrarchs? I know I shouldn't be making too much of this, but at the same time, those guys can actually get some very, very good oomphs if they get the right targets here, especially backed up by a Little John.
Yeah, if that Little John can get in quite close, it would be quite deadly. Of course, the problem is trying to get in close. However, Luna is not pushing too hard for the northern plateau, actually instead trying to go for the far northern hill a bit, so it will allow Koenig to get into position. Yeah,
which is kind of strange, all things considered. I mean, the Tetrarchs are peeling off, looking towards that hilltop. Northern plateau. So how do you see this? Okay, so we have Canadian Paras, air landing troops, and a Tetrarch against basically what amounts to 2 Pioneers, 2 Pigrins, and some light support. How do you expect this to go?
Pretty much the airborne infantry is going to trounce, of course, the German runs in this case. However, it's a Flak Panzer Panther, and that is quite scary at CQC, and also quite scary against aircraft, so it's a real good counter against everything that 6th Airborne can bring in.
Well, the funny thing, too, is we had a P4 that was sitting kind of in... Oh, and the bombs, which you kind of... I didn't even think about calling out here again, but yeah. A P4 sat in ambush, picked off one of those Tetrarch Little Johns, and the rest of them had to decide to go change their Little Johns, as he died in one shot, so...
Yeah. And the German infantry are making their way into the forest, but they're going to get picked off, I believe, one by one here by the airborne infantry, really. We're on Pioneer Squad already going down, and the Flak Panzer and the Panzer 4, or Panzer 5/4, I forgot, it's the, once again, big bottom, little top.
Oh yeah, you're right. This was, guys, we have this turret for the P4, but we have nothing for the chassis. Stick it on this, it'll work.
It's the Panzer 4.5.
Well, that's just the 5.4s, because we're like, guys, it's sort of important, but it still kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is going to be a good push show. Just the extra armor support will be what is needed, and Colonel Koenig will get pushed out of that hill.
And the Tetrarch gets taken up by the Flak Panzer Panther, which I completely understand.
Yeah, it's kind of like the delete button, really. Oh, getting side-shotted here by the 6-pounder, and what a good kill.
It is. That's actually a really important kill early on here. There's not that many Flak Panzers. In fact, he only gets, really, one of those Flak Panzer Panthers. He has none with a T-34. But that's a... No, it is not. Southern side, oddly quiet. I don't know. That's a really, really big kill.
Yeah, and in the middle, we are seeing a pretty good push here from Koenig. Of course, he is... Oh no, he's the balance, so he can actually afford to go slow, so he's very early, aggressive actions is working quite well for him.
True. And the Ox and Bucks, I mean, man, I don't really know if I've seen livestock be quite that aggressive. But they'll trade decently well here as a 2-to-1 against this peak run, especially with the armor support.
Yeah, the nice thing about those Tetrarchs, even though they're not the best tanks in the world, is that they're cheap. And just for, a little bit of cheap fire support in these CQC areas, especially when your enemy doesn't have cheap tanks, they end up working quite well.
Absolutely. Checking down south just to make sure, yep, nobody really cares. We're just seeing that fixation as we kind of seem to do pretty consistently. 6 squads of P-Grunts being delivered on into the front lines. Definitely recognizing there's an issue over here in the central position. Unfortunately, I feel like those northern reinforcements are going to get taken out by either the Little Johns or the Vickers or something.
Yeah, I feel like one of the big problems here for Luna will be he doesn't have a whole lot of cheap armored units. Because he can get in Stugs and Jagd Panzers and a whole heap of other nasty heavy tanks. But he doesn't really need heavy tanks. He needs like 2-3 runs and just cheap fire support to back up his infantry, because there's a plethora of Tetrarchs scattered all around. It's going to be hard to pick them off one by one with a single tank.
For some reason, I just had a Fallout kind of reference kind of coming to my mind here. I felt that Tetrarchs are kind of like those bloat flies. Those giant little things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, the giant little mother puckers.
Or rad roaches.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're really just annoying and they're freaking everywhere. And if you ignore them, yes, they will cause some hassles for you.
Yeah, you can really only kill the bloat flies by using Vatch.
Yeah, legitimately, I'd waste so much VATS on those guys. But yeah. More Tetrarchs being thrown to the front. We also have a pack howitzer too. Actually, I very much like this call.
We've seen time and time again in 6th Airborne replays that the person who brings in the pack howitzer, brings in the plethora of, German bodies in this case with high explosive capabilities. Because you need a pack howitzer when anti-aircraft guns start getting brought onto the field. Otherwise, the most important part of 6th Airborne, which is all the airborne stuff, is pretty much ineffective.
Well, and the 5.4 goes down. Once again, Tetrarch causing its fair share of hassles here. And I never really quite appreciated how many of them they can get on a single card.
They're quite bountiful. And like I said before, because there's not a whole lot of other light armor, these Tetrarchs can run around supreme. They're just being used as infantry support. Yes, it's a British infantry support tank, which means it has no high explosive. But when the enemy doesn't have any other armor, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And with even the single machine guns being more than a fire support, I mean, if you get enough Tetrarchs, it's like having a Steward. Let's see. Yeah, but that northern hillside, guys, it's the Battle of Little Round Top. And I don't think the Peagrens and the Strum Pioneers are going to be able to hold this back. Not with all the fire support, not with all of just the armor support. No cavalry is coming to the rescue here.
Yeah. And Luna, he's in a pretty tough position. I feel like he just needs to embrace his heavy armor aspect and just start getting Yak Panzers into an open field and just try to push somewhere in the open rather than trying to, beat 6th Airborne at what they do best, which is CQC.
We are seeing an off-map below on the southern side, so we're going to see a bit of a kicking off here as I think Luna has had enough trying to fight this northern push. And let's be fair, if you can push out the 6th Airborne from this town, until sea phase, they're not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, Luna is getting that slow plus one now. He's not in a great map control position. He barely controls any of the flags. They're still quite contested. But if he could open up a front somewhere else, I feel like the town's going to be a bit too bloody. Maybe if he can push heavy down south, get some armor support, to cut off reinforcements, that'd be a pretty good angle of attack.
Well, right now he's bringing a flak, he's got an 88 out. He has a T-34 flak panzer out, but I want to see how this barrage hits, because these are all virgin squads on both sides. And those first barrages hit like a freaking sledgehammer. This is perfect. So 14-10. Okay, he can wrap up the southern side. There is a single Pathfinder squad down there who's just been kind of chilling. And the first line of British defenders is all forced to retreat. This is actually a brilliant move here. Really well done.
Yeah, it's going to force Koenig, as you see, actually invest a little bit down south, and the Pathfinder's finally woken up and actually jumped out of their transport. But, it's going to get 2 flags here for Luna, and, we're getting into B phase. He needs to start trying to, get that +2 point advantage.
Yeah, you got to go for that throat immediately, and I don't know... wow, that was a much more conservative push than I expected. I expected a bit more than just moving 50 meters.
I feel like he doesn't want to overplay his hand. Honestly, I respect it down south, as most of the time it's not really worthwhile to try to push the town entirely. It's just really too much bloodshed and grindy gameplay for potentially 1 flag which you can get via the bridge. And it's a very hard bridge to capture. You could say it's a bridge gone a little bit too far away than needed.
I was really wondering how you're going to dive around that one, and
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I never knew you were a contortionist. Another airstrike, artillery strike over here to the northern side. And it's kind of funny right now, because unfortunately, it could have been better served in the central position, as there's an absurd attack happening now. Because we have air landing troops galore, and we have all of these Tetrarchs, and I say one less now. But there's an awful lot of troop numbers being brought on in. So this artillery strike is not going to be quite as effective as it might have been deployed elsewhere. But, hindsight and, intelligence reports are 2020.
Yeah, that's a scary amount of air landings, and that should be enough to get the hill, but okay, pretty conservative bomb and run now, only killing one squad.
Well, the air landing troops are good too, but they still not the best assault troops. Like, they got a Bren gun, they have a couple Stens, but they're not close enough for the Stens, and they're never going to be close enough for the Stens.
It's really just the veterancy which is going to help them out a bit,
Yep.
but the Panzer Grenadiers, of course, at long range, static positions, 2 MG42s, even though they may not have the veterancy, they do have the firepower.
True. And another off-map's being delivered over here, so even if they do take it, they're not going to be there for long.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, taking that northern hill is definitely a good priority for Luna, because if you can hold that hill, you can very easily zone it out, as well as the supply road, with all the long-range heavy anti-tank options. I mean, we have 2 PaK-40s being brought up here. It's a little bit overkill, but it will work.
It will kill. I'm surprised...
Middle push.
That middle push. Oh, you mean the air landing one? Oh, yeah, that's gotten absolutely shellacked. And this biplane's going to go down. So the P-Gruns are going to take some losses over here, but the air landing troops, I think for the most part, this is the end of that push. There's one Canadian troop to the northern side, those fearsome Canadians being what they are. But I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot from this long push anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be a very good consolidation here for Luna, and that should bring it to a 14-10. Yeah, if you look down south, it's still pretty static. Koenig is not going to try and counterattack. But time-wise, this is still looking pretty good for Koenig. If we can just keep up by losing by a +1, that's not terrible.
And that's such a funny thing, too, to always be like, well, he's not losing. Or he's not losing bad. So it's such a strange thing to kind of put as a sentiment. One of the things I would actually almost like to see, though, is I'd like to see this Flak Panzer maybe rotate around to get shots down the lung. I'd love to see them actually have that opportunity right there. Because, again, just checking on that range, 2250, yeah, he'd be absolutely murdering things on there. Yeah, but by the same token, we have Centaurs the other direction here too, so we have some really interesting stuff starting to kind of really happen.
Yeah, Koenig is actually starting to invest a bit more into some heavier armor. Here it's still pretty light by standard armor standards. But Luna, he does have those Jagdpanzers, and if he can get those and the PaK-40s into a good position, he can very easily make mincemeat of all of his British armor.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we're seeing 4 squads of P-Gruns that have just hunkered up behind the hill, like, really German reinforcements in every World War II movie. Those sneaky krauts, like, ambush us kind of stuff. Ooh, the Jagdpanzer position is actually really quite good too. So, I was thinking that Koenig had something going on here, but I'm wondering right now if Koenig is a double agent, because I feel like he's unfortunately sending his troops over open ground in the face of some really, really bad defenses. It makes you wonder. Maybe he's trying to play for the 6th Airborne here to get kind of wrapped up as well.
Yeah. His armor's only able to do so much. I mean, the Centaurs are providing good fire support right now, but Luna is doing a pretty good job of actually building up some pretty heavy forces, and its B phase, of course, has his advantage with Maverick, and he has been able, especially in just the plateau area where that one Jagdpanzer is, he's in a very good screening position, and as you see, he's actually going pretty offensive here with those Pioneers.
But that's the right call. Like, you need to be moving and taking those positions now, because you can see right here, the 6-pounder, he can't see necessarily the Jagdpanzer just yet, but he can certainly kill him.
Yeah, come on, those Pioneers need to jump out.
And they shall.
Shall they?
Yeah, the P-Guards are right there too, so they're going to go and toss a grenade from super duper close.
That 6-pounder just lost its license to live.
Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't have a license to kill in the first place, so I think it only seems fair that he gave up the other one of those. So he got found out, so. Southern side, we actually are seeing a bit of an attempt at... Ooh, there's a TOT barrage here. What's that? From a 203. Okay. He's going to hit perfectly, too, so these poor reinforcement troops, these peak rens, go right into a pit of hell for a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's probably be a good play here for Koenig to start playing heavy in the town. Because, yeah, it's a good off-map artillery barrage. If he moves up his infantry now, he can mop up a lot of the Germans. And there we go, bringing it down to a +1 point bleed. And that's what he just really needs to focus on right now. Just trying to keep it a, you know, a +1, -1, whatever one you want to call it. Because at +2, it's just gonna be, you know, it's gonna be hard to hold.
Exactly. So 150 on-map barrage is trying to hit this pack howitzer. Not the most successful, but still pretty good nonetheless. And yikes, more Tempest coming in. Flak Panzer's not going to do a whole lot about this. The 88 mil is going to be enough to go and make people stand up and notice, but no kills.
Nope, not yet. He's definitely needs a little bit more heavy anti-air if he wants to keep the 6th Airborne array. And I do like the on-map 150 call-in, because he can use that to blow up the 75 mils, and that stops the 75 mils from blowing up his 88 mils.
Well, that's part of it right there, but even more so, I feel like you need to have those spot shooters here too. There's a negative too, so it's down. The lungs are becoming more and more blue here.
Yeah, he's just got a huge overwhelming force of infantry, and even though 6th Airborne infantry is good, at long range, those German MG42s slap or they'll cut you in half.
Right now, too, we're going to see these Pack 40s. One's going to go down here pretty quickly, but he's taking out a Cromwell with him. And there's one more Cromwell. You can't be donating tanks. Not for another 3 minutes. Those Challengers don't come in immediately.
Yeah. I mean, it is playing C phase, but even then, 6th Airborne is not exactly a tank division. He's going to be out of armored vehicles very soon, and the battlefield is starting to turn into more of a, you know, open field fight, which is an advantage for Luna.
Oh, absolutely. Doubly so when you have a Centaur engaging a Jagdpanzer. Mythological hero? Hunter.
Or German.
Or German, exactly. Or Jagd. And the Centaur realizes, yeah, you know what, guys? I'm not really sure mythological stuff really bears here. AB Paris coming on in, and I feel really quite bad because the way those names are kind of linking up on top of each other. I kept reading Parasite. Which I guess from a certain point of view is exactly what airborne troops are supposed to be. But, you know.
In the back line.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting how it's just developing now. Luna is starting to... It's a late bloomer Maverick. He's starting to, you know, snowball his rate of victory here late into B phase. And it's working out quite well. It's mainly just due to the map positions he's managed to capture are very beneficial for him to defend.
Well, even what's more, look at the way he's aggressing in the southern side. Like, I have not really gone and done the whole geometry about trying to figure out the most optimal way to move through this town. But he had 2 or 3 separate engagements where normally you'd have an air landing trooper 2 all concentrating on like that P ground in the church, for example. This is unfortunately a very, very negative position for him. But outside of that, everything else was 3 or 4 positions going after one squad, 3 or 4 positions going after another squad. It was surprisingly efficient and effective.
Yeah, it's overwhelming firepower, and as we can see, if he's engaging at longer range of infantry or tanks, he performs really well, because the Germans do like engaging at long range.
Absolutely. TOT Barrage, that lung is going to fall under, I think, 6th Airborne control. The question is what he's going to give up in the meantime for it. Because I feel like... okay, the off-map is making you run to the south. Yep, okay, look for another TOT Barrage coming down to the south. And we have a Befehle Tiger coming into the northern side, so... Artillery desperately being used over here by the 6th Airborne, but some heavy, heavy armor being brought in by the 20th PG.
Yeah, bringing in my favorite Porsche, the Tiger Porsche. That will that's going to be a very tough nut to crack. You don't really have. Well, I guess a 17-pounder can go through it, but even then, that's still quite difficult. You have to rely on air power, and Koenig doesn't have a whole lot of air. Okay, yes, he has an adequate amount. I'll take it back. It's just not spammy air power. So it's more focused on anti-tank guns, really.
True. So we're going to see that artillery barrage here in a second. I feel like we're going to. There's another one to the northern side, which is starting to kind of drop on the Pack 40, and there's a ton of infantry up here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not aggressive infantry. This is, again, yeah, you got double Brens, but that's not a lot of firepower. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say, that the Bren gun is just not great in the attack.
Yeah, and without the Tetrarchs backing him up now, his infantry's having to engage run, and it's not going that well. He's augmenting that, of course, with some Tempest strikes, which are working, but he is taking a little bit of heavy anti-air as Luna is building up that anti-aircraft net.
True. Well, because the 88 hasn't been able to be engaged effectively by those howitzers. Another off-map barrage, interestingly placed, and I think he's going to pay for it. Yep. And there's the TOT barrage below. Okay, so in the next 20 seconds, Southern Town's going to see a push.
Oh, yeah.
So air landing troops, yep, we have some Voltigeurs and, excuse me, some other troops sitting in reserve. But you still got to get them into that town. Which, not immediately going to happen.
Yep, once you get the Panzer Grenadiers to the edge, you can just put down some fire. But yeah, there we go. I think it off-map is force those airborne to think about maybe getting into the town now. Once the off-map stops, that is.
And no push just yet, but I feel like that should be an opportunity for it. There's still enough property down there to be seized to make it worthwhile. But of course, as I say that, the northern hilltop is not to be outdone in savagery. Air landing troops coming up, cleaning up pioneers, strong pioneers, and there's not a whole lot of defenses immediately. The Flak Panzer is going to be thrown on into the fray just to kind of go and back things up, and will be rather effective if it can stay out of range of that peon.
Yeah, or actually a lot of John could get a good kill. The Flak Panzer is a dangerous location for it.
Bailed out.
Yeah. Probably a lot. I understand that was probably just like a quick counter-attack to stop that hill completely collapsing, but yeah, that did not go well for the Flak Panzer.
No, it did not. But by the same token, there still is the 88 and the tank are both engaged in that Centaur. And there we go. And thus balance was restored.
Mm-hmm. I do like his push up north here from Koenig. It's definitely gonna, it gives him a good position, because that stops. I'm trying to think of fancy words to say. It's stopping Luna from being able to put down effective fire support down his supply line.
Mm-hmm.
My main problem is that he can't really utilize that position that well. He does have some anti-tank guns he can bring up, of course, but he's just going to be kind of stuck on the hill, and he still needs to capture more flags.
True. Actually, I'm trying to look right now. The pack howitzers are starting to really engage effectively on the 88. And they might be able... I was thinking maybe we're going to see a stress completely, but that's not going to be the case here. But back to the southern side, just taking a quick look down there. Yep, new squads came back in. It took some losses. It is a 14-10 for right now, but I wouldn't expect that to be a long-standing thing, as air power to the northern side is going to be engaged in that hilltop one more time.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Koenig gets used his off-map artillery now to try and counter battery the 88 mil, which is not the most efficient use, of course, of an off-map.
No.
But he just wants that 88 dead, which I understand. It's a big gun. It's a scary gun. They put them on the posters for a reason, you know?
That's because they're doing their best to talk about Arbor Day. It's like, we love the trees, man. Okay, another off-map barrage is going to happen over here. How many more does he have?
A lot.
These off-map barrages, I feel like have just been constant. And one of them died early on. So unless this is just a purely recon plane, which I'd be very surprised by.
He's got 2 off-maps on B and 2 in C phase, so it's definitely going pretty heavy in the off-map support. We're seeing Typhoons and Tempests being brought in.
I think you and I are discussing different things. I think I was referring more to the German side of things.
Oh, German off-map, okay. I was thinking
very
of
confused.
British off-map.
Oh yeah, the British off-map is consistent. Now the question is, does he have enough material on the field to be effective still? And I say he, in this particular case, I'm talking about Luna, or has that phase of the moon passed? I think he can.
Luna's still in a... that was a good pun, by the way. I think Luna's still in a good position just because he's got a strong position in the center, and Koenig doesn't have a whole lot of tools left in his arsenal for long-range heavy tank duels.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Even down to the southern side, as these paras are making a bit of a minimalistic kind of spoiling attack, I think this is more of just trying to steal the strength from anything to the south, as opposed to really being able to take a flag or two. I don't think he even knows exactly how much firepower potentially is back that direction.
Yeah. Koenig, I mean, he has a lot of infantry left. He really needs to leverage that infantry and just try to push heavy down south. It's not the best area to push, as it's way too hard to get any of the flags here, but the terrain is more favorable to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you can see right now, one squad moves up, they take fire from 3 or 4 sources, they get pinned, they get killed.
Yep. Panzer Grenadiers are just in perfect positions.
Yep. Of course, not if you donate to them a squad at a time, but, I mean... Oh no, I have to take that back. This is... The house wars going on over here. Like, I've keeping up with the Joneses is one thing, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just back and forth, but Luna is going to hold, and yeah, 15-9 now. It's only 2 minutes left on the clock, I think. Luna pretty much has it.
Yeah, unless these Paris can somehow, some way, pick up these 2 flags, which I sincerely doubt. I think this is the larger lady, the big bone lady is warming up to start singing here.
Yeah. I do find this match quite entertaining, because it felt like Koenig was playing more... His playstyle was more Maverick.
Yeah,
but Luna's
exactly.
been playing more balanced, really. They sort of swapped incomes.
But, I mean, the curious thing about that, though, too, is that normally we see this giant, crush on the southern side instantly with this town. And a lot of these troops are actually the same troops that were here initially. Maybe not so much more on the British side any longer, but a lot of these German troops, I think, were ones that were there almost from the word go.
Yeah, they've managed to survive the war for now.
That's true. Until they make one wrong move and then zip to the Russian front.
I think the Brits are probably very confused while they're fighting over Sidic. Like, how do we get in Belarus? The airplane must have made a wrong turn.
Oh, absolutely. Well, think about it. There's probably are still elements of the 6th Division who tried to get, dropped for Market Garden and then just we got scattered to all hell and gone.
Yeah. Monty had a very, ambitious plan of landing in Minsk and then getting his armored troops to break through the line there.
Well, he was looking to fight the next war after that, so it wasn't this one. It is 13-11.
2 wars and run, yeah.
It is 13-11, though, so we are seeing teeny tiny bits of just, maybe they can last a little bit longer, but dropping Cromwell still, we still have the Hetzers are still kind of doing their thing. And we still have these really plucky P-Grunts kind of moving across the lungs. They're not going to be able to actually aggress. They're missing most of their machine gun ammo. They're just down to, K98s and MP40s. But there's still just enough support fire that they'll be able to take these lungs. And pretty easily, too.
Even though the income is definitely not to Luna's advantage, he's been able to keep all his heavy equipment alive and working, as the Tiger P is going to make rather short work of that Challenger.
Especially as everybody else starts to pick on him, too. But here we go, last 20 seconds here. Honestly, really fascinating thing. I just think Koenig was a double agent. That's all I think on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, really, really interesting way to see the P-Gruns played from a Maverick perspective. Like you said, as a balanced income, too, I'm not even sure how to term it. But you're right. We are all upside down for this one. And
yeah, it's a GG. Pretty standard-ish. 200 KD difference? Or 800 KD difference. I can do math, I swear.
You're a computer programmer. We need you for that. 6-pounder picking on that poor Flak Panzer Panther. But not a lot of, again, just like on Tuesday, there wasn't a lot of very killy stuff.
No. Yeah, and losses... Same thing, really. 1 Jagdpanzer doing decent.
But a lot more people just kind of go in and pick up their slack. Maybe not efficiently, as we see the Buffet of the Tiger take out a Daimler Littlejohn. But, nonetheless, really, really fascinating. Again, I'm going to be thinking about this for a couple of days here, just trying to kind of imagine how this is going to get played out.
Mm-hmm. I do quite like seeing 20th Panzer Grenadier, mainly just because they have all the funky rear tanks, and I love the funky rear tanks. But they do have that weird playstyle where you got like a bunch of heavy-ish, medium-ish armor. They don't have, even just like regular Panzer divisions, you got like some cheap armored cars you can throw in. And as we saw early on, that really screwed over Luna because he couldn't really deal with the Tetrarchs effectively. But then once the Tetrarchs all kind of rent the raid of the Dodo, he could start counterattacking quite effectively.
Yep. But honestly, folks, I think that's going to about do it for us today for this particular week of monthly tournament coverage. So until next time, I'm Conalwork.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.